Aloha class, moving on to exercise 1015. So this is Wingate. They're a wholesale distributor of videotapes. Not sure how relevant that's going to be now or obsolete those videotapes are. And they've been experiencing losses for some time. I would expect that. And so this is kind of their overall consolidated income statement. And they divided it down to try to find the root of the cause. Prepare, format income statement segmented by divisions. So you do have this ratio, but it's not a contribution margin ratio. It's a variable expense as a percentage of sales. So that would be variable expenses divided by sales, and that's the ratio. Fixed expenses. And then you could sum up these fixed expenses that are traceable to each division and then see which ones are going to be common. So part of it's traceable and part of it's common. If we were to sum these up, that would be the traceable part, and then the rest, the leftover between this amount and what we summed up would be our common fixed expenses that we can't trace to an individual division, and those divisions are East, Central, and West. So let's go to the Excel sheet and go from there. So this is kind of the information given, right? So they don't give you variable expenses in a total, but they do give you this variable expenses as a percentage of sales. So I know my variable expenses should be 52% of my sales. So I could times 52% times it by my sales. And I know that contribution margin, right? If this is 100% here, right? Contribution margin would be the difference between the two. And so I could do that. Or I could do a calculation here, this one minus this one, and then do contribution margin divided by sales to get a contribution margin ratio, 48%, or I could have done the 100% minus the 52%. Also 48%. They gave you this information, 160,000 traceable, right? This is traceable. And then these are contribution margin, and these are by division, right? So this is my division segmented net income using contribution margin format. NOI is negative. My East division is not making very much money. As a manager, I'd highlight that and be like, this could be the problem area that's bringing down our sales. Let's move on to Central. 30% here. I know if this is 30%, this must be 70%, right? Because 100% minus 30% will give me 70%. And Central looks like it's doing fine with their fixed expenses that are traceable to Central. Just a check figure, yep, that looks fine. And West seems like they're doing okay as well. We could sum these all up, and I already have this. I had worked on this previously, so you don't have to, follow or see me do the formulas since they're already there. So we would sum up these ones, right? And then I could drag that formula down. This could be a calculation, this one minus this one. Sum up those ones again, sum those up. And then this calculation again, right, of our net operating income. So this is before they have all of their traceable costs in here, fixed cost. But if we look at this fixed expenses, oh geez, sorry guys, wow. So if we looked at this fixed expenses, right, they really have, this is consolidated, this is everything, and then it's broken down. And I've only traced 535 when really I had a total of 625 expenses. So I'm missing some here, right? It's not, and like if you were to compare sales, okay, I have all the sales accounted for by division. I have all my variable expenses accounted for. Contribution margin looks great. Fixed expenses are not the same, right? And they had a net operating income of negative 15. So they do need common fixed expenses, fixed costs, or whatever you want to call them, expenses. And it's hard to allocate these out. Like I've said in the 10-1 video, there's not a reasonable way. We don't really know if the CEO is spending a ton of time on East or no time on East, and so We can't allocate those out, and they are going to be the difference between these two because we haven't accounted for all of our fixed expenses. So let's do that. We do need to account for another $90,000 of common fixed expenses. And then, yes, we can see that we are reconciled here, right? With these two together, I would sum up to $625,000. That was the total over here, just a little bit broken down between traceable and common, and then everything else reconciled. These ones reconciled onto our total. So that's what we're looking for requirement number 1. Number 2, as a result of a marketing study, President believes West Division could increase by sales could be increased by 20%. Monthly advertising in the division were increased by $15,000. Okay, let's see how that plays out. What would you do this plan if you were to meet your sales expectation? So he's talking about West. So let's pull these numbers down here and play with them a little bit for our West Division. So, and we could do a comparative one. Let's compare them, yeah? And let's copy it again one more time. So this is original, and this is the proposed. So I believe it said 15,000, 20% increase of sales, right? 20% increase. So we would do this one times by 100%, or our 1, that'd be 100%, exactly the same. Now we need 1.2 because it's going to go up 20%, right? This, they didn't say anything about what's going to happen to our variable or our fixed expenses. So you should assume that they're going to keep the same contribution margin ratio and same variable expense ratio. So we do need to double check this one times by that one. Yep, that did work out fine. Times by that one. Oh, circular referencing, that's never good. So how about 60% times it by this one? Oh. Sorry about that. Okay, and so you can see we're selling more, so we do need more variable expenses in this increment, right? And then they said a $15,000 increase to advertising, assuming that's a fixed expense, 15,000 plus that one. And so we can see our net operating income has increased, and if it is increasing, you would say yes, accept this proposal. And how much did it increase? How much incrementally do we have more net income? 27,000 more income. Yes, take the deal. Yes, do this plan.